Welcome back everyone. I'm genuinely very excited for this video. I went to reddit.com and found some stories that people have posted from their childhood that are either absolutely terrifying or complete mysteries. In fact, most of them are actually both of those things. I read so many, and these are honestly the best 10 that I could find. I'm not just saying that. This is going to be one of the best scary videos I've done on this channel. Just before I get into it, don't forget to check out our new top 10 Hindi channel. You should see a link right up there, also in the description box or the comment section. Ayman is our lovely host doing videos there in both Hindi and English. Go and check it out right after this video. My name is Danny Burke and this is the top 10 scary childhood stories part 2. Starting off at number 10 now, we have the face. This one comes from user Spider Lane Wales. He said when he was about 6 years old, he was sleeping in between his parents one night. It was about 4 AM and he saw something standing by the window, looking out over their front yard. It looked like a tall man wearing a brown wool robe. He started to stir and sat up in bed. The thing turned around and looked at him. One thing he will never forget is the face. It was unearthly, extremely pale with many wrinkles, and it drooped like it was melting right down to a pointy chin. It almost resembled the Scream mask, except real flesh and blood. Its mouth was hanging open and its eyes were wide as if it was also terrified. It stared at him while it moved away from the window, in front of the bed, and then out of the open bedroom door. The exact moment it exited the room, the lights turned on by themselves. Both his parents jumped up either side of him, breathing heavily like they'd just woken up from a nightmare. It wasn't until many years later that he told them he'd seen the nightmare with his own 2 eyes. Next up at number 9 now, we have the old woman. This one comes from user PM Me Your Poem. He said that he was laying in bed one night as a kid. It was pitch black except for some light creeping under the door from his landing. They had recently moved into the house, and while his mum's room was being worked on, she was sleeping in his room on the floor. He looked up and saw the door slowly creak open. An old woman peered around the door, looked right at him, and then just slinked away. Even though he was a kid, he didn't freak out and told himself it was fine, it was just a nightmare, he was just seeing things. Despite this thought, he still quickly turned over and dove under his covers, hoping he would wake up. He sat there in silence, waiting for the nightmare to be over. Then he heard his mum whisper to him from the floor, saying, "Did you just see someone peer around the door?" Safe to say they both didn't sleep a wink that night. Coming in at number 8 now, we have the stalker. This one comes from Reddit user Yeah But That's Nothing, and they said that as a kid they would sometimes sleep with their bedroom lights on, light blaring out through the windows. One night she awoke to the sound of metal scraping outside, like something was being dragged. There was a thunk noise against the wall outside the window, and then the sound of someone climbing a ladder. She watched, wide-eyed and frozen in fear, as a man she'd never seen before looked at her straight through the window. Their eyes met and they just looked at each other for a moment. Then she closed her eyes and pretended to be asleep, but really she was just squinting and still watching him. He stared in silence for a few more minutes. Then she saw a bright camera flash. He climbed back down the ladder and dragged it away into the night. She never saw him again. Next up at number 7 now, we have Minnie Mouse. This one comes from MD Nightwriter. They said that when they were little they had a Minnie Mouse plushie. It had a cute costume and big open-mouthed grin. She even had a studio portrait taken with it. When she woke up one morning, she looked at her toys scattered on the ground and her eyes fell on Minnie. Then Minnie started talking. At first it was just a hissing noise, then Minnie started whispering her name. She froze as she watched Minnie's mouth open and close slowly. She ran out of the room as fast as she could. Her parents dismissed it as just imagination until she showed them that the doll's mouth was permanently closed now. They went to look at the studio portrait that had been taken months before, and sure enough, the mouth was open. She never touched that doll again, and the family rarely speak about the whole affair. Moving on to number 6 now, we have Shh. That's what I'm calling it. This one comes from PM Me for Small Talk, possibly the same person who told a story earlier in the video. Well, he has another story. He said once as a child, he and his sister were having a prank war for about a week straight. They agreed to a ceasefire as his birthday was in 2 days. Very fair. He had just turned 11 and that night he heard his closet door open. He knew it was his sister. She was about to prank him on his special day. I'll show her, he thought. He decided to surprise her by flinging open the closet doors before she could jump out. He slowly got up, but before he could get to the closet, the doors opened and she stepped out, except it wasn't his sister. It was a grown woman with long black hair covering her face, a face riddled with scars. He wanted to scream, but he just froze and silently started whimpering and crying. She put a finger up to her lips and let out a slow shh. She then opened the window and crawled out, slowly closing it behind her, never to be seen again. To this day, he's not sure who or even what she was and whether she will visit him again one day soon. Moving on to number 5 now, we have the bones. This one was from user Bathysphere710. He said that when he was a kid, his dad would take he and his sister to a giant lake with a big sandy shore, sort of like a landlocked beach for hillbillies. His words. He was wading in at the shallow end when he felt something brush through his fingers. As he was only 7 years old, he was imagining that he was at a really nice beach, and he thought to himself, maybe these are sea plants. He snapped out of it though when he remembered that this wasn't that kind of beach. As he squeezed the tendrils brushing his hand, they squished and sunk through the soft, squishy mass, and then he felt bones. They were finger bones, belonging to a child that would have been about his age. He got out of the water, sat on the shore, and told no one. A year later, his sister told him that that same day she thought a boy had been kicking her under the water, but when she grabbed at the foot, it felt cold and squishy, and she also told no one. Moving on to number 4 now, we have the poke. This one comes from Diamond Eyes 7, who said that when she was a child, her grandparents' house always creeped her out. She was terrified of the basement. There was just something that was off about it compared to the rest of the house at least. When she was about 10, she and her mum were sleeping in her grandpa's bed. She couldn't sleep and was facing the middle of the bed so that the back of her head was facing the nearby window. All of a sudden, she felt something poke the back of her head. Once and then twice. She was petrified and frozen solid. She wanted to turn her head and see what just poked her, but she just couldn't bring herself to turn around. To this day, she still doesn't know what it was that poked her from the window, but when she thinks about it, it's like she can still feel the pokes, as clear as the night they happened. Next up at number 3 now, we have the auntie. This one comes from user YOLO the Swagnificent. Amazing name. This story is creepier than the name though. When he was a kid, he had a dream that his aunt came to visit. He was actually named after her husband, his uncle, who had died just a few months before he was born. Because of this, he was always very special to her. After the dream, he went into his parents' room and told them that Auntie Liz had come to see him in his dream and that she told him to say goodbye. Just a few hours later, he got a phone call that she had passed away. A few years later, his grandfather's friend Mary got brain cancer. She lost the ability to speak and her face was paralyzed. The last time he saw her, he told his mum he just wanted to see her smile one more time. A few nights later, he had a dream where she was smiling at him. A few hours after that, his parents got the call that she had passed away. A final twist to the story is that when he was about 11 or 12, he had a dream that his dad died. His dad was terrified for weeks. His dad was fine though, he did survive, but now the whole family is very scared of this bizarre dream death power that he seems to have. Moving on to number 2 now, we have the hand. This one comes from the user You Shouted This. Her name is written in caps. Nice one. She said that her family was very religious when she was growing up. One time she was in church and they asked a few members of the congregation to go to the front so they could pray for a specific person. Her aunt took her up, they closed their eyes, started singing and lifting their hands up in prayer. After about a minute or so, she felt someone's hand touch hers. It was flat against her hand. She swayed and continued singing without opening her eyes. She thought the hand belonged to the pastor's wife, who she really liked, and was happy that she had chosen to pray with her. After a few minutes though, she decided to break the protocol and open her eyes to smile at her. When she did though, she quickly realized it wasn't her. It wasn't anyone, in fact. She looked from side to side to see if maybe the person had moved to pray with someone else, but everyone was just doing their own thing. There was no one next to her, even though she definitely felt someone's hand touch hers just before she opened her eyes. After all, wouldn't you be sure if someone touched your hand? And finally, number 1 now guys, we have the witch. This last one on our list comes from user MTMB17. She said that when she was 8 years old, her bedroom was down a hallway by itself. She had a window in there that had been broken, so there was actually just a piece of wood in place of the bottom part. The window was high up and nobody could reach it easily. Her mother had been cleaning her room that night and had her go back in there to get her glass of tea that she had left in there. When she walked in, she glanced at the window and there, clear as day, was a rigid, grey, bony, witch-looking finger with a long, dead-looking nail and bumps all along it. The finger was an abnormal length and was just above the piece of wood. It was beckoning her to come to the window. She dived under her bed and screamed out for her mother. She shouted that she was too scared to come out from under the bed. Her mum said that she was too tired to get up and didn't seem to understand the severity of the situation. She eventually crawled out from under of the bed and darted out of the bedroom. It's been many years since that day, but she still remembers the finger clearly and still wonders what she was being beckoned towards. Well guys, I really do hope you enjoyed that. Like I said at the start of the video, that's honestly one of the most favourite scary type videos that I've done on this channel. I thought all of them were amazing. I really do want to do a part 3, or we can do another series. Shall we do adult stories, or maybe like old people stories, maybe scary teenage stories? Whatever you want, just let me know in the comment section below. Thanks as always for watching guys. My name is Danny Burke and I will see you all in the next video.